Folks, welcome back. Is it time to sell your Pokemon investments? After all, you know the tried and true phrase, you buy when it's low, you sell when it's high. I don't think there's any arguments right now. The market is definitely high. Now, in fact, is the time to sell. All right? Honestly, I wanted to do this video because I continuously get asked questions about making a video like this, get questions asking about, if I should sell. Alex, what price points or percentage gains are you looking for before you sell, et cetera, et cetera. And truthfully, I've made videos like this in the past, but you know how YouTube is. There's a lot of new followers that have found the channel. And so I want to continuously make content for everyone, but also to, kind of give some of the new subscribers some things they may not have heard before because they weren't following the channel, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. And so if you've already heard this, I'm sorry it's repetitive. If you haven't, hopefully this information does help. So first and foremost, you have to separate right in the beginning what you're trying to do in the hobby. Are you trying to either invest or collect for value long-term, or are you trying to work and run a business? Two completely different things. Investing is your money working for you, making money, okay? Running a business is you trading your time for money. And this is the biggest thing that gets all warped in people's brains every single time I have this conversation is they'll say, Alex, you put X amount of dollars in those boxes. They only went up this amount of percentage. I went to all these vending conventions. I did vendor POVs. I was on Whatnot. I was flipping and ripping all these, Facebook and Instagram deals. And I made way more than you did. Of course you did. You went out and worked. You got a second job or you created that as your new full-time job. Whenever you put in effort and work into something, you should outperform someone who is passively investing, especially, in the early years. Now, once you get enough money passively invested and you continue to contribute and the appreciation continues to compound, well, then eventually the passive investor is usually going to make more off their investments than a lot of people that are working. Perfect example is if you got 7 or 8 figures invested and you're making, 20, 30, 40% on those investments each year. Well, just think about $1 million, 20%, that's 200 grand. If you had $10 million, 20%, that's $2 million. You're going to outproduce most people working and continuing to flip and flip and flip and work, right? But in the beginning, investing is boring, right? Because, well, Alex, I only had 10 grand. I made 20%. I only made 2 grand off it. This guy flipped 10 times. He made more than me. Of course he did. But what he also did was he spent a lot of time doing all of that, right? And so you have to decide for yourself, do you have too much time on your hands and you just want to get ahead as fast as possible? Then you go the business route, right? Do you already have a lot of your time accounted for? You have a, good paying job. You have enough income. You have family, friends, hobbies you want to do on your free time. You don't want to spend all your time working. Then passive investing is probably for you. So first and foremost, you got to decide which route you want to go. Okay. If you want to run a business, you're definitely going to make more when you trade your time for money. We're going to talk about investing though, because that's what I get asked about all the time. So Alex, are you selling because we're at all-time highs? I am not. And you're going to say, well, why not? You're trying to shill the market. You don't want to sell because people will call you out for selling. No, it has nothing to do with any of that stuff. I don't care what anyone thinks about me. What it has to do with, where am I going to put my money? What am I going to do with extra money in the bank? Why would I sell something just to get my hand on dollars to put where? Put it in Bitcoin. Okay. Yeah, I'm not here to debate what is going to be a better investment. Bitcoin may very well outproduce some of my Pokemon investments, for sure. We'll put it in the stock market. Honestly, it doesn't sound very attractive to me. The stock market's also at its all-time highs. A lot of the stocks have already ran up from, the lows they've had. And, honestly, I think I can still outproduce it in Pokemon. So why would I trade out of an asset that I believe in more to an asset I don't believe in more? Well, the stock market's more liquid. That's fine. If you're in a spot in your life where liquidity is going to mean a lot to you, then yeah, absolutely. But if you're asking me, that's the reason I don't sell. There's a few reasons, right? One is that I just truly would rather be in Pokemon product right now than other investments where they're at right now, right? Bitcoin, stock market, they're all at all-time highs. So all you're doing is trading one out of one market at an all-time high into another market at an all-time high. I don't need to sit on any more cash. I've actually got more cash I know what to do with right now. And so I don't want to continuously build up cash because, it's honestly, you're just going to lose it to inflation. So I'd rather be in something. Okay. Two, whenever you sell, you incur an expense, right? I believe it's still true in most of the cryptos. I don't really think it's too true in the stock market anymore. I think most platforms have zero trading fees. They make money off the margin when the sale's made. I'm not going to go into all that. But when it comes to Pokemon product, you incur fees, right? I mean, first and foremost, if you have to ship it, that's a fee. Shipping materials and shipping. If you sell on platforms, you got to pay a fee. Even if you sell off eBay or TCG Player, one of the major platforms, you're probably still going to pay a goods and service processing fee unless you're going to just trust and do it friends and family. And so you're incurring some kind of cost when you sell. And so depending on what that fee or cost is, even if you send it to a consignment service and they charge you less fees, you're still paying fees. And so if you sell, say, $100,000 in Pokemon, you're going to be left with, let's say, somewhere between, 90-something thousand down to maybe the high 80s, depending on the amount of fees you incurred, right? Or how fast you wanted to get out. If you really wanted to liquidate it, maybe you have to take 80%. Now you have 85,000 left. So somewhere between 80,000 up to like 95-ish thousand is what you have left out of your 100 grand. So now you're putting less money than you had compounding in Pokemon into another investment that, again, you don't know if it's going to perform better or not. You're just, that's your own decision that you think that's going to do better. Well, now you have less money that is now has to compete against your Pokemon investment that you had, and actually has to out-compete it. It has to do better just to end up at the same spot you were already at. Meaning, if Pokemon box, let's say Evolving Skies, in the next year goes from 2,000 to 4,000, just hypothetically. At the same time, Bitcoin goes from 120,000 to 240,000 a coin. They both doubled, right? But remember, you were only able to put 80 to 95,000 into that Bitcoin because you sold 100,000, had to incur fees and shipping and all that. Well, now you actually still have much less money in the Bitcoin because they both doubled, but you had more money compounding in this double up. And so you have to always think about that. This is what investors think about. They don't think about, oh my gosh, I'm out money. I need to take my money. I got to take my profits. Okay, I got my cash. Okay, I feel good again. You have to get out of that mindset of feeling that you're safe when you have cash, right? You have to get in the mindset of how can my money make me more money without me having to work for it? Because we've been trained in our society. You've been trained. All of us went to the same type of schools. I'm sure you've been trained. Where does money come from? Hard work. That's where money's made. It's not how money's made, right? That's how, a lot of people have to, go out and get money. But the real money is made with investments. Investing is how you compound your wealth without working, so that one day you don't have to work anymore when your investments now make you as much or more than your working does. And so I don't think about feeling safe in cash. I feel about I need to get my money deployed so it can continue to work for me so I can work less. And so that's why I am not selling my Pokemon investments right now. Because you can say, well, Alex, aren't you afraid of a market downturn? Aren't you afraid of a market downturn in the stock market? Aren't you afraid of a possible crypto market downturn? Every market can have a downturn. It'd be like going to a real estate investor and saying, I know you have a lot of rental properties. Oh, aren't you getting a little scared that, the real estate market might drop? Why don't you just, when the tenants are done with their last lease, why don't you just kick them out and sell the houses and take your profits? And then you can maybe buy back in more when it's less. It's just, why would I do that? Why would I take the chance? Why would I do all this legwork and run around and then either pay taxes or have to do 1031 exchanges into other properties so I don't pay taxes and all this? Why do all that nonsense? Usually the best method when it comes to investing is to do nothing. It's do nothing, hold your investments. If the market goes down, you buy more. If the market goes up, you sit there and enjoy your gains, hold a little more cash. So when it goes down, you buy more again. The only reason, in my opinion, I would ever sell is if one, I actually needed the money for whatever it may be. You name it. Any type of life event, personal, family thing, whatever it may be. If you actually need the money, or two, you truly believe that after incurring any expense that it costs to sell and move it, that you're going to do better in another investment so exponentially that it makes sense to move it to that investment. And so if you no longer believe in the Pokemon market or the longevity of it, or you think these boxes are going to remain relatively the same price for multiple years or a long time frame, but you believe certain stocks or the S&P or the, crypto or Bitcoin is going to significantly outperform in that same time frame, I agree. That's when you sell. Sell your Pokemon now, put it into those investments. That's all this is, guys. I'm not mad at you. Anyone out there that is, gonna come at you and call you not a real investor, all that stuff, screw those people. If you are truly at the point where you either need the money or think it's going to do better somewhere else, sell and don't feel bad about it. Don't have regrets. Don't look back. Make the decisions that you feel are the most viable for your situation. And in my opinion, again, not trying to shill anything, not trying to create FOMO, in my opinion, the Pokemon market and the gains that I believe I'm going to continue to see here outproduce anything I feel I'm going to see in an S&P index fund, in a mutual fund, even in crypto. Now, I think crypto is going to do good. I think Bitcoin will reach the heights everyone talks about, 250,000 a coin, $1 million a coin. But I truly believe that overall in my Pokemon investment, it's going to continue to do as good or better than Bitcoin. That's just my feeling. And I could be completely wrong. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about making investment decisions based on your bet. You're placing a bet based on where you see the value of these things headed in certain time frames. And so that's all it is, guys. And so when people ask me about selling, no, I'm not looking for a certain percentage gain. I'm not trying to, once I make 100% of my money, I'm selling. Or I'm not looking for a certain time frame. Once I get to 3 to 5 years, that's what I'm holding to, and then I can sell. I'm not looking for any type of, a market crash might be coming. I better jump out and try to time the market. I'm not trying to time the markets. I'm not doing any of those things. I'm looking at my cash positions. I'm looking at my income. I'm looking at my bills, my liabilities, and I'm deciding, do I need to shore up more cash in, preparation for anything that I may need, that expenses that may come up? No. How worried am I about, my or my wife's income moving forward? How much will our income need to drop for actually be a problem? Well, unfortunately, fortunately for us, we have very low bills, so not really worried too much there. I'm confident in my, emergency funds and cash. And so when I look at all that and I say, then why would I sell? There'd be no reason to take on more cash, and I don't want to place the money somewhere else after incurring selling expenses. And so that's the true reason why Alex does not sell his positions. It simply doesn't make sense. And honestly, pretty much any wealthy investor in any field is going to tell you the same thing. That's why they don't sell their houses. That's why they don't sell their stocks. That's why they don't sell their crypto. That's why they don't sell pretty much anything that they own, is because they don't need the money. They don't want to deal with any expenses that come with it. They don't want to deal with tax liabilities, and they simply don't need the cash and don't know where else they would put it that's going to perform better. And then if something comes along where they do think it's going to perform better, like they want to invest in a startup company or something, then maybe they do offload some of their assets and put some money into there, whatever it may be. But that's a true reason. And I think a lot of people are just stuck in that early stage where maybe, you're younger in life or just starting out in your career, or don't have a lot of disposable income, haven't made a lot of like flips in the hobby, haven't experienced that taking profits before. And so I think those are a lot of people that are worried about selling. They're worried about when things go from $100 to $200, they want to sell it and take that $80 they made and enjoy it. That's fine. Do that in the beginning, right? There's nothing wrong with selling, guys. There's nothing wrong with selling. Everyone's at different stages in their life. Everyone's at different, they have different wants and needs in life. And there's never anything wrong with taking profits. One thing about taking profits, no one ever got hurt doing that. No one ever got hurt. You may miss out on future gains. So what? You made money. You didn't lose. You won the game, right? You bought Surging Sparks, right? When it was released at $110 to $140. It's up to $250 now. You took your profits. You made $100 and something. Be happy. Put the $100 into something else. Go enjoy it, whatever you want to do. But when it comes to building wealth, when you're constantly taking money out of your nest egg, out of your investments and using it, it very significantly slows the pace at which you're going to get to an amount of wealth and amount invested to where you have enough money that's working for you that you no longer have to do much work to support your lifestyle that you want. So that's the answer, guys. Hopefully it cleared up any questions that I do get about all that stuff. And hopefully it continues to help you guys. That's all I got. I'm out.